Thank you so much for coming to this important event. Okay? Y'all don't sound like y'all okay. Y'all know why we're here. Okay, we're here representing
justice.
Our loved ones. That's right. Okay? And this is being conducted by the Prison Justice Network, which is an organization formed by I hate to say inmates, but formed by those that are incarcerated. So we advocate on behalf of those that's incarcerated and the families of those that are incarcerated. And because you are incarcerated the same way, okay, that impact is on you just as well. So what this Speak Out is about, it's about you all expressing, speaking out, because we are speaking to them over here, okay, the Capitol. Right here, this is the first week of the General Assembly, and we need to let them know that we care. We care about our loved ones. We care that we know that we are fighting injustice, that we are fighting bills that need to be changed, old laws. And I think we have a chance this year to get at least some of them changed, okay? But we need your support. So again, that's just some of what we're going to also have a post rally at 1400 Idlewood Avenue, Second Baptist Church, where you actually get to talk to some of the advocates, organizations that's here that represent our loved ones, okay? So again, we want you to come that way, and then you'll be able to look at the bills that's being presented this year to the General Assembly, and you'll be able to know who's patroning them. And we want you all to come and sit on these committees, because that's where the change takes place. We really need you all to be in some of these committees, but we want to show you, train you, for those that are not familiar, how important it is that your presence is there. So in getting started, our time is going to be very limited because we only have 1 hour, but we're going to make good of that 1 hour. And that 1 hour, you're going to hear a minute and a half from the advocate organizations. You're going to hear a minute from, I'll take that back, a minute from the advocate organizations, a minute and a half from the letters that we receive from the different prisoners from the different institutions. We have statements from them, and then we're going to also have an open mic for the family to speak for 1 minute. And we're giving you this time because we want to hear from as many of you as possible. So we're going to ask that you please honor our time. Okay, keep that respectable, and we're going to form a line on here once we start that process. And we're going to also ask for your financial support, because in order to do this work, we need funds to make it happen. We also have newsletters that we want to pass out to you that are done quarterly by one of the co-founders of the organization, which you will be hearing from her in a few minutes, because we have to support our own struggle. All right? So whatever you have, we appreciate it. So again, to get this started, I want to first introduce Margaret. Margaret, I don't want to mess up your last name. Yeah, she'll say her own last name. That's just out of respect. So she's going to give you a little, as to what the Prison Justice Network, how it became formed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynetta. Can everybody hear me? Hi, my name is Margaret Breslau, and I'm the chair of the Coalition for Justice and a co-founder of the Virginia Prison Justice Network, which was formed in 2018. And it was formed in response to prisoners wanting to organize, to collectively work together. There are all these different organizations around the state, and we realized we needed to form a network so that we could work together. And we're not just looking for legislative reform. What we want is a total transformation of the system. And in order to do that, prisoners and their family members have to have a seat at the table. And that's why we organize, that's why we mobilize, and that's why we're here today. The only way these legislators do anything is if we pressure them. But it will take so much more. It will take education, understanding, commitment, and working together. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. So, okay, in the order that we're going to have our advocate organizations to come up, after I read two statements from our co-founders of the organization, is Miss Lily Branch from RRHA, Montel. Why do I mess up your name? I'm sorry. From ACLU, We're going to have a representative, David from Virginia Coalition Against Solitary Confinement, Elijah Coles, who is a 15-year-old youth civil rights activist, Valerie Slater from Rise from Youth, Richard Walker, CEO of Bridging the Gap, and then we're going to hear from Phil Fileto, and then we're going to start statements and open mic in that order. All right? So our first statement comes from Hassan Shabazz, who is at Augusta. He's one of the founding members. He said, "Peace and justice to the united family, unified family. For the past 3 years, I have watched the prison and criminal justice reform movement in Virginia grow in a way that in the past I could only imagine. There have been rallies, speak-outs, forums, and mobile justice tours. Also, the House, the Senate, and governorship are all blue for the first time in 26 years, but this is still not enough. We cannot be satisfied with what we perceive as victories when no meaningful change has taken place. Therefore, we must do more. What comes next is the most critical phase of our plans for prison and criminal justice reform. On the inside, we must do our part to qualify ourselves for a second chance. And on the outside, we need those who believe in second chances to make their presence felt at the General Assembly. In this effort, the support of Senate Bill 91, a bill to repeal the no parole statute from 1995, sponsored by Senator John Edwards, is our main focus, for it provides relief in the form of parole for fishback, juvenile, and new law prisoners all at the same time. In light of this, we are requesting that after the rally today that you join the Virginia Prison Justice Network in forming committees to show up at the General Assembly and hold our elected officials accountable. The vote of the legislation should reflect the will of the people, for it is your vote which placed them there in the first place. Please let your voices be heard and support the type of reform that opens the doors towards ending mass incarceration in Virginia, for it truly affects us all. Do not let this moment slip away. And that is from Hassan. You got this one.
This is a statement from Ascari Danso. Mass incarceration describes the exponential increase in the number of people imprisoned in a society. What is the cause of mass incarceration? The fundamental issue becomes defining the role of prison in a capitalist society. My 22 years of experience as a prisoner in Virginia teaches me that prisons house poor, uneducated blacks, many of whom also have mental illnesses. Most of these men and women are thought of as incapable of contributing to the modern knowledge-based economy in any real way. They have no marketable skills, thus they become cast as unemployables. So how do you exploit this? Well, you criminalize this group, incarcerate them, and then both marketize and commoditize them simultaneously, all for the purpose of exploiting their existence. Thus, prisoners, like slaves, possess a certain market value, a market value that many of them simply don't have until they are made a prisoner. So the role of prison is containing and exploiting the surplus populations in our society. African people's history here has rendered us underdeveloped. In Virginia, African people were not allowed to read, enjoy a family, create an economy, develop certain skills, define themselves, create for themselves, speak for themselves, govern, own property, claim rights, and on for 250 years. The slave master was the law creator, interpreter, and enforcer on Virginia's plantations. Enslaved Africans were only subject to the state's administration of justice when their criminal acts severely injured the slave master or extended beyond the plantation's boundaries, in which case that enslaved person was only temporarily housed in Virginia's penitentiary house. In the late summer of 1800, 24-year-old Gabriel became Virginia's first political prisoner after a failed slave rebellion. He was held in solitary confinement at the penitentiary house under strict orders from its keeper, Martin Mims, to place him there. After his conviction, he was hung, along with several of his alleged co-conspirators. 3 months after Gabriel's failed rebellion, the General Assembly authorized the creation of the Public Guard, a paid militia with its barracks in Richmond as a response to Africans' resistance sentiment. For the next 60 years, the Guard members patrolled Capitol Square, the penitentiary, armory, and other public buildings. Our history has shown us that Virginia has constantly been ground zero for the racialization of crime and the denial of our existence once we've been imprisoned. Virginia's truth in sentencing criminal justice model and subsequent mass incarceration program has its roots in the state's legacy of exploitation and desperate punishment of black bodies. Today, 1 in every 82 black Virginians is imprisoned, compared to 1 in every 533 white Virginians. Once in prison, we're marketized and private companies sell us products at exorbitant prices. We're also commodified and our labor is exploited for pennies. Meanwhile, we sit in prison for decades long after we cease being a threat to society. And who suffers? Black communities, mothers, children, economies, etc. I came to prison at age 18 for second-degree murder. My guidelines recommended I serve 18 years. I've been imprisoned for 22. I'm scheduled to get out in 2045. There's no parole or good time in Virginia. This must end. Thank you.
I hope you are hearing. These are the individuals that's there, and this is a result of these two guys, okay? As well as the ones that have joined with them afterwards. Right now, we're going to hear 1 minute from each of our advocates, starting with Miss Lily. In fact, I'm going to ask you all to line up so that we can keep it moving. So that's going to be Lily, Mattel, Coalition, okay. Mattel, solitary confinement, Elijah Coles, Valerie, Richard, and then Phil.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hey, what a beautiful day this is today to have a rally. First and foremost, I want everybody to give themselves a hand clap for going to the polls in November, because that's where hope began. Hope began when y'all stood up, took action, went to the polls. Now, mind you, y'all made a change, but here we're hoping that change will bear fruit as it should be. But we must not, we should not, and we will not sit back idly and say they're going to do what we want them to do. They're not going to do unless we, the people, tell them, let them know, stand on them, put a foot on them if you have to. Let your legislators know. I've handed out, they're going around a list of bills. And if your bill, you may have one particular thing that you're interested in, for example, fish back or parole, but there's many more things. There's juvenile justice. There's so many criminal justice reforms that need it. Please take this paper. When you get this here, when you talk to your legislators, go down the line and let them know. Let them know that you support these bills as well. And I just want to let you know for the bill that I'm here standing that they have me talking about is Fishback. SB 793 with Senator McClellan and HB 996, and I understand Joe Morrissey has a bill. I do not know that bill number because I just learned of it yesterday on it. I apologize for that, but we need your support for those bills that's coming out. The Fishback bill for those 334 incarcerated defendants who sit in prison only because the judges failed to tell the jurors that parole had been abolished. I thank you for my 1 minute of time, and I appreciate you all. I sincerely appreciate everybody in here. What a beautiful crowd today. Thank you.
Never be defeated. Okay.
Thank you all so much for coming out. I'm just Mateo from the ACLU of Virginia, and I want to keep this brief. So we can have as much room for everybody else to be able to speak. But we're really proud and grateful to be able to stand here in solidarity with all of you and everybody here. And our main message today is that we can't do any of this without all of you. So we really want to be able to bring your voices to the Capitol. So please engage with all of us and our colleagues up here, and we want to make sure that we get all of these reforms through this session. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out today. My name is David Smith. I'm with the Interfaith Action for Human Rights and the Virginia Coalition Against Solitary Confinement. Last year, the administration here in Virginia said there is no solitary confinement. Then, because of the work of you all coming out and advocating for it, we got a reporting bill passed. And the Department of Corrections said, you know what, we're wrong. There are actually 3,166 people who spent over a month in solitary confinement in Virginia last year. There were 7,121 entries into solitary confinement in our state prison system alone last year. We're calling for the virtual ban, abolition of solitary confinement in Virginia. This is a big ask. This is a big hill to climb, and we need all of your help reaching out to your legislators, coming up here to Capitol Hill, and letting them know that solitary confinement is not justice tempered with mercy. It is injustice and an unjust system. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elijah Coles Brown. I'm a 15-year-old national motivational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also a youth activist. And I'm standing here today because I support all of these criminal justice reforms that are here today. I'm glad everybody came out here to be able to gather together, to be able to serve one purpose, to make sure that these people can get a second chance at life. Keith Fleming, he was a very, very, very nice man. He was sentenced to over 30 years in prison for a non-violent crime, and he was arrested in the 80s, and even after parole was abolished here in Virginia in 1995, he was not able to get the opportunity to be grandfathered in, and he was just let out less than a year ago, and a couple of weeks ago he actually passed away and didn't get a chance to live his life to the fullest, even after committing a non-violent crime and also giving back to society. So we have to be able to see these people as people, because we are all together, we are all unified, and we all have to come together for one purpose. No justice, no peace.
Yes. For you, bro. Wait for all that person to come with me. No, bring it with you. Just bring it with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Valerie Slater, and I'm the Executive Director of Rise for Youth. And this is Mikel Al-Qaddafi with me here, one of our Youth for Rise members. And I want you all to know that we not only support all of the prison reform bills that you have heard about today, but also we are putting forth, with the help of Delegate Jeon Ward, Senator Mamie Locke, and Senator Jennifer McClellan, a bill. It's House Bill 551. I don't know the Senate bill number yet, but it's the Healthy Community Secure Care. Young people don't belong in prison. Rise for Youth stands for Reinvest in Supportive Environments. Let me say that again. Children don't belong in prison. So this particular bill, it will mandate that if a young person is going to have to be placed out of their home, that it will be in a small facility that is no more than 30 beds, and it will be within the communities where young people are coming from. Do you know why that's important? It's important for young people to stay connected to their families even when they're in trouble. It's important for young people to have the support of their communities even when they're in trouble. To date, the Department of Juvenile Justice has consistently built large facilities in rural white communities to house black and brown young people. That has to stop. We are looking for a new day in Virginia. We are looking for a new way in Virginia. And some of the ways that we are going to do that is to, of course, abolish solitary confinement. We're going to reinstate parole. We're going to allow those individuals that are under fishback to actually have an opportunity to get out. But we are going to stop imprisoning young people far away from their homes. We're going to stop fragmenting communities and families, and we're going to build them instead. Again, help us support House Bill 551, and as soon as the Senate bill drops, I'll give you the number. Look us up. Look us up, riseforyouth.org.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad everyone's here. My name is Richard Walker. I'm the founder and CEO of Bridging the Gap in Virginia. We've been fighting this fight for the past 10 years or more to change the narrative in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I want you to heavily support HB 32, an expungement bill, chief patroned by Joseph Lindsay. We need this. There are over 400,000 individuals in this Commonwealth of Virginia that are convicted felons. Convicted felons need another opportunity for gainful employment. By expunging their records 8 years or older, that would give individuals the opportunity to get a meaningful employment, that they will be immunized by their children so their children will do well in school, that they will be able to be an asset to their community so the community structure and narrative could change. It's high time that we change the narrative and the policies and procedures in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you.
Okay, if you don't come, you're going to lose your space, Phil Fileto. That's your, come on. Are we on a time frame here? Get over here.
Always a day late and $2 short. Okay, I'm Phil Fileto, editor of the Virginia Defender newspaper, which folks will be passing out later today, and one of the co-founders of the Virginia Prison Justice Network. And I'm here to ask you for help. We should have 10,000 people out here on the square today. We really should. And the only reason we don't is that we don't have enough people to get the word out. That's the truth. So, to remedy that situation, we're going to do a couple of things. After the written statements by prisoners are read, and that's the most important thing because this is a prisoner-led network, and their voice is the one that has to be amplified. After their statements are read, folks are going to go around with clipboards. Matter of fact, I think some of them are doing it now, and they're asking you to, if you're interested in working with us, there's no dues, you don't sign your life away, you can keep your soul in your firstborn. That's not what we're looking for. We just want you to be involved. So, sign up your name and your contact information. Second thing, after the rally today, we will be going to Second Baptist Church. It's 1.5 miles from here over in Randolph at 1400 Idlewood Avenue. And we're going to have a meeting to plan our intervention in the General Assembly. In other words, we're going to figure out how we're going to get to these committee meetings and show up and spread the word and so on. We're organizing ourselves as an army to intervene in this legislative process. So when they make a decision on whether to send that bill out to the floor for a full vote, they have to look at us. They have to look at the faces of former prisoners, family members, friends, supporters. That's lobbying in mass. Mass lobbying is what we do. So that's Second Baptist Church, 1400 Idlewood Avenue. Idle like you're not doing much, but we are. And then wood like a tree, okay? Idlewood Avenue. And just put it on your GPS and get on over there. We'll have some coffee and tea and some water and some snacks and stuff. And we'll talk about how we're going to intervene. The third thing is, we didn't do this in 2019, but we did it in 2018. It was really effective. A lot of people wanted to speak at the first rally. We didn't have time. They only give us an hour here. And so we held local speak-outs in Richmond, in Hampton, and in Roanoke. If you would like to help organize a public meeting in your town, city, or neighborhood, if you're here in Richmond, sign up on the sign-up sheet that you're interested in working on the Prison Justice Speak Out, and we will work with you to make that happen. And then we'll put out the word, and people can come and they can tell their stories, and the word spreads, and next year when we have the rally, we're much stronger, okay? This thing is all volunteer. It only depends on us getting involved and standing together and raising our voices and making sure that our sisters and brothers behind bars have a voice, have a powerful voice in this legislative process. And we're going to keep building that movement until we can move way beyond bills and finally tear down the walls. Thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you. Right now, we're going to move right into the statements from the different prisoners, starting at River North. So just come up as I've given them to you.
This letter is from Cardell Avant, River North. Hello. There isn't enough time, so I will get straight to the point. We need parole in Virginia. First, geriatric parole is unfair. For someone who was 20 years of age when convicted, they will have to serve 40 years before they're eligible. Compared to someone who is the age of 45 to 50 that gets incarcerated for the same offense, will only have to serve 10 to 15 years before being eligible. The same as being 60 years old, only having to serve 5 years. That is unfair. Secondly, geriatric parole is useless when you're not granting it. Bringing back parole is not setting all prisoners free at once. It will be determined if we paid our debt and are ready to return to society. So let us earn it by showing our actions and accomplishments. Thank you sincerely, Cardell Avant. This letter is from Gwendolyn Burton Green. She's incarcerated in Fluvanna. Dear DOC correction officers, my name is Gwendolyn Burton Green. I am a human, not a number that happens to be attached to me to keep up with me, nor am I your human dumpster. I am a woman, a mother, a grandma, someone's daughter, and more. I give the utmost respect even when it is not given or reciprocated. I am here for whatever the judge has already judged me for. I do not need your further judgment, nor do I need your insults or to be dehumanized and belittled at your convenience. I don't know if you realize it or not, excuse me, but the tables are never too late to be turned. With this being said, when you get up in the morning, try something new. Try saying, "Good morning, self. I am going to work today. Remember that in some way or another, the people I interact with are me. Though I may be in a better position at the moment, no one is exempt from the changes that life can bring. I will respect these women as I expect them to respect me, not knowing whether I can hurt or help someone. With that being said, thank you for your understanding for our newfound respect. Sincerely, Gwendolyn Burton Green." Thank you.
This first letter I have is from Julie Callahan in the Central Virginia Correctional Center. With all the buzz about the women's facilities being changed around, the offenders are still concerned that if they have a year or more remaining on their sentence, they will be relocated to other facilities and that CVCC will become a reentry program. DOC needs to address how the restructuring of both Deerfield and Brunswick to men's prisons and the restructuring of State Farm to a women's prison has been a big shift for offenders. Disruption in classes, uncertainty about programs, and so on have affected both the men and the women. Furthermore, programs for smaller facilities, such as this one, are limited, especially if you've participated and have completed several other programs, such as higher education or vocational and other such programs, but come to a facility that does not have them. Mass incarceration is not the system that bureaucrats who sit behind a desk and sign into bills a distorted image of justice believe it is. Incarceration is no more a deterrence for crime than cancer warning labels are a deterrence for smokers. Incarceration is a warehousing and indentured servant system, bidding the lowest price for most offender-operated labor, shelling out pennies for work that is worth upwards of $10 or more for civilians. Incarceration doesn't rehabilitate, it debilitates, making the incarcerated dependent on the state for necessities such as toilet paper and a shower. Also, the policies are antiquated and are structured for the release to fail, especially the violent offenders who are kept behind bars for so long that working in the outside world becomes a distant memory. These violent offenders are not even given the chance to participate in work release programs. But how else are they supposed to build work skills needed for the real world and not the incarcerated one? Virginia is one of the toughest states on crime and yet doesn't help offenders once released. It just hinders them from reaching their full potential. Thank you for listening. Julie Callahan in the Central Virginia Correctional Unit. This letter comes from the captives at Sussex 1. Sussex 1 State Prison is a maximum security prison classified as both a level 4 and level 5 prison. It has an estimated population of between 1,200 and 1,500, located in Waverly, Virginia, which is in the eastern region of the state. The workforce here is predominantly black, with about a 60-40 ratio of male to female guards. Many of the guards, especially the females, are 20-somethings, young, inexperienced, and inadequately trained. The turnover rate amongst the staff is extremely high, and prisoner-on-prisoner violence is extremely high. Stabbings and inmate assaults are a regular occurrence. The prison and various housing units stay on lockdown on average once a month, often for isolated incidents. This doesn't include the often weekly lockdowns due to either shortage of staff or people just refusing to come to work, or staff pretending that it is a shortage of staff so they don't have to let us out for showers and recreation. The prison has 5 buildings that are housing units. The buildings are named 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 respectively, and each has its own individual unit or building manager, a lieutenant, a sergeant, and a counselor. Lack of respect for prisoners by guards and administrators, as well as the ability to communicate with us on a professional level, is extremely high. N-word, lock the fuck down, shut the fuck up. N-word, stop fucking crying, you all acting like straight B-word, are all common comments being used by staff directed towards prisoners. This lack of training, unprofessionalism, and lack of respect has created a culture that has permeated the entire prison. This is a direct contributing factor to the prisoner-on-prisoner violence. A vast amount of the prisoners here are serving lengthy to life sentences and, per Department of Corrections policies, must remain housed at a maximum security prison for a minimum of 20 years before they can drop in security levels. This is also a major contributing factor to prisoner-on-prisoner violence because people have nothing to look forward to, and there are no incentives like educational or vocational programs to look forward to. We need help. We need real change.
This letter is from Jermaine Doss. I would like to bring into a rule which affects any defendant with a major constitutional violation that will result in a different outcome of their case, and that is the Virginia notorious 21-day rule, which for many years has been said to be the most restrictive in the country. It is a very outdated rule that ties the hands of a defendant and even the Commonwealth when a major constitutional violation has been recognized, even if that major constitutional violation would set a defendant free. For example, my name is Jermaine S. Doss, and I have served 20 years for a crime I have never been charged with, nor was it a lesser included offense of the charged offense of a capital murder for hire, of which I was acquitted by my trial jury. But due to the Virginia 21-day rule, the courts have no legal remedy to correct the major constitutional violation that has led to me being unlawfully in prison for 20 years for a crime I have never been charged with. Even to this date, the Virginia Attorney General cannot even point to any case law that would allow such a conviction to be legally permitted. Now, even though the courts and the Virginia Attorney General office have recognized that my conviction is not permitted under Virginia law, the 21-day rule denies me or the Attorney General the right to petition the court to have my conviction overturned. My only options are either through a habeas petition to the federal courts or to have the general governor grant a pardon to vacate my wrongful conviction. So do you think that a rule should be so restrictive as to allow a wrongful and unlawful conviction to stand, which makes an acquittal by a trial jury meaningless? Peace, Jermaine Doss.
This is from Anthony Gomez at Sussex 2. In the mid-1990s, Virginia saw a political campaign to abolish parole and implement truth in sentencing laws. Those pushing these tough-on-crime policies told the public that people convicted of violent crimes posed a higher risk of recidivating, and therefore they should serve the bulk of their sentences, and that when the court sentenced them to a specific term, they would serve the bulk of that term. Thus, a 25-year sentence means nearly 25 years in prison with no parole. The problem is that study after study has shown that the abolishment of parole has no effect on recidivism rates. As for truth in sentencing, well, the truth is that you currently have individuals in Virginia prisons serving sentences of 10, 15, even 20 years for homicide offenses, with some serving life. And you have others with non-homicide offenses serving similar sentences. And in some of these cases, it seems like the ones with lengthier sentences have less severe circumstances. This disproportionality is an injustice. It is an obvious imbalance on Lady Justice's scales that there's no way she can't see or feel it. Virginia citizens who've made poor life choices shouldn't be dying out in prison under harsh sentences for circumstances and crimes for which others get a second chance. The only way to inject a balance back into the equation and bring a sense of justice is to reinstate parole. No parole and truth in sentencing are an injustice for those disproportionately sentenced.
So I'm speaking on behalf of Dr. Taj Alexander Mayenhaft, who is up at State Farm Enterprise Unit, and he's also my partner. He says, I know I'm supposed to tell you about myself, but instead I'm going to tell you about my son, Demetrius. His name means lover of the earth, and he is. He loves the earth and everyone on it. He always has. He's the kind of teenager who sees the new kid with only one outfit and his shoes falling apart and gives him a pair of his designer sneakers and a new hoodie. We were best buddies, inseparable. Then I got locked up. He's still a great kid, makes great grades, is a star player in a serious basketball league, but all is not quite right. He gets headaches so bad he pukes. When people are being mean or racist, he often lashes out at them even though he knows he shouldn't, all because I got locked up. You're here today because someone you love is behind bars. I'm talking to you today because people I love out there need me. While behind bars, I founded the Humanization Project with my partner to help tell real human stories like this, to give a voice to the good people behind bars who have gotten out and who have gotten out, who are doing good work in the world, to tell their stories and the stories of their families and everyone affected by mass incarceration. This year we are happy to have drafted House Bill 1532, sponsored by Delegate Don Scott, that would expand the earned sentence credit or good time system to help good people get back to their families faster. We hope that along with the bills to bring back parole, we can help to heal the wrongs of mass incarceration. At the post-rally meeting, we will be helping people tell their stories. If you'd like to come tell your story, please stop by and see Jen, who is me. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm reading for Jaworski Ned Sr. from River North. Hello, how are you all doing? I know through everything you all are standing strong in the good Lord. I can say it is a true blessing to write to you all. As I come to the people at this rally in the community of Virginia who stands for us and with us, I thank each of you all from the bottom of my heart for the fight you all put up for us due to the unfairness we receive in the state of Virginia. My name is Jaworski R. Ned Sr., who is doing a term of life plus 18 years for a crime I did not commit. Through circumstantial evidence where he says, she says, got me judged unfairly in the county of Accomack. In that county, I did not receive a fair trial, nor did they have any evidence against me. I was sentenced by a jury who was kin to the victim, friends of the victim's family, and knew the two people who took the stand and lied, who the evidence pointed to. I am a person from a community of New Orleans, Louisiana, who got taken from his family, 9 kids, and friends who truly miss and love me. Through these 11 years of incarceration, I have been fighting, showing my true innocence and showing that I got judged unfairly in the court system. Everything that I filed to the courts, it gets denied or not heard. I really can't understand the law of Virginia, where a person got to fight for their life or freedom, where a person is really innocent with no evidence and still gets charged because someone lied or said that some person did it. Every day is a struggle when someone has to fight and gets no justice because the court system is crooked. I would say an innocent person should not have to stay in prison for almost half of their life for a crime that they did not commit. Through my various struggles, I will never give up fighting. And when I do get my freedom, I will stand for what is right or in the state of Virginia. As I end this letter, I would like to say, whatever your task may be, concentrate your whole mind upon it. Throw into it all the energy of which you are capable. The faultless completion of small tasks leads inevitably to larger tasks. See to it that you rise by steady climbing and you will never fall. I pray that everything you all fight for gets passed and that people open their eyes to the truth. I speak for everyone by saying thank you for your support and love that you all have. If we are willing, know God is willing also with us. Peace and love. Thank you, Jaworski Ned Sr.
I'm reading for Kavana Teasley, aka Righteous Aravel in Buckingham. Thank you to all of those who are in this struggle with us. Mass incarceration is a problem that affects us all, whether it is directly or indirectly. The injustice that we are subjugated to in Virginia has infected every citizen personally, emotionally, and economically. How many times have taxpayers asked politicians to do something about prison reform? Prison reform consists of issues such as over-sentencing, no parole, police brutality, equal justice, offender's diet, visitation procedure, medical, and most of all, the job discrimination inside the institutions. This is a discrimination against those who are getting hired and at the rate of pay that is being issued. The prisoners in the Virginia Department of Corrections have been working for slave wages long enough. We can barely provide for ourselves, which emphatically prohibits us from providing for our families in a time of need. How is this possible when we are working real jobs that will pay more than minimum wage in society? This is why the prison industrial complex is continuing to rise while the economy is continuing to fall. With that being said, something must be done about these laws inside the prison and out. Because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. When the system is corrupt, the people who enforce it take on its likeness. In other words, if we want change, we have to make the system balance by speaking, voting, and fighting for ourselves. The point we are all making is, what is the logic behind mass incarceration, other than running a criminal enterprise which is in the code name for modern-day slavery?
Right.
We can fact-check this by taking a good look at the 13th Amendment. The amendment established the abolition of slavery with the exception of anyone who commits a crime and is punished by the law, i.e. sent to prison. However, being punished does not give them the right to prosecute us to justify involuntary servitude. Our state number makes us a commodity which generates capital wealth in exchange for free labor. The prison industrial complex has economically developed into an $80 billion business since the Clinton administration. His success was contributed to by implementing the Truth in Sentencing Law 25 years ago, and since then Virginia has built 4 new prisons, leaving them in debt due to beds not being filled like they planned. So the question is, who are they targeting? It is the time that we address the truth and see the system for what it is, because justice is not for all, and we have to be the change we want to see. Because it is a new day in Virginia, a blue day in Virginia. The time is now if we want to make the difference, instead of complaining about what everyone is not doing. So let's support the SB 91 to bring back parole in Virginia, because we have to start to put an end to mass incarceration. Even though parole is a privilege, it is also one of the only laws that balances equal justice, because everyone deserves a second chance. Therefore, it is up to us to change every law that oppresses us, opposes us, oppresses us, and enslaves us. Remember, it's the people who make the change, because every voice matters. With that, I say peace from your brother in struggle, Kavana Teasley, aka Righteous Aravel. Our last one is from Eric DePola, who's in Red Onion State Prison. To all the outside people gathered for this cause, I firstly offer my deepest, sincerest appreciation on behalf of all of us in here endeavoring to persevere. Please know that there are individuals in here, whatever acts they may have landed us in this situation, who have come to an understanding that as human beings, we all have the capacity to change and refuse to allow our prior improprieties to define who we are today. Who refuse to simply accept the status quo, and that however disadvantaged we may be, we stand with you in your righteous struggle. Know that your valued time and efforts are not spent in vain. And that being said, nonetheless, with an abundance of hope, I humbly request of you to remain steadfast in the struggle. Please do not be beguiled by the constant stream of propaganda being spewed by the Virginia Department of Corrections. Question and demand answers to everything. It is your right. A right not exercised by a people is a right surrendered to its opposition. Make no mistake about it. The system stands as it does today, especially in the higher security level prisons like Red Onion and Wallens Ridge, as an impediment to rehabilitation, far away from a facilitator. It remains nonsensical to expect or even to believe that such a system would even or could even reform itself. Approximately 90% of all imprisoned people will one day be let back out into society. And what would appear to be the most fortunate recent election of politicians in the last 30 years to the Virginia General Assembly, now more than ever, you have the power to ensure that this system truly becomes rehabilitative, and ensures that these gates and walls serve as the purpose of uplifting principles of a mature and humane society, and no longer a vengeful, hypocritical one, as the current cycle will simply perpetuate and proliferate itself onto an ever so diabolical situation. With that, I say to you all, may your endeavors be great, and your aspirations be ever greater. Respectfully submitted, Eric DePola, prisoner ID 1145137. Imprisoned since the age of 16 for the past 17 years of a 38-year sentence, currently held at Red Onion State Prison for 13 years. Again, I thank you all.
Let's applaud our family, okay? You have heard from those that are behind the walls. That's their voices they wrote. And we also want you to support us, okay? We want you to support our efforts. Some of you all have gotten a copy of the newsletter that is sent to them on a quarterly basis. It's quarterly, right? It's on a monthly basis, okay? And so we need support in doing that. So we're going to ask you all to support us through whatever offerings that you want to give us. We're going to have 2 people walking around that has white bags. Okay, raise your hand and just kind of walk around, and whatever you can do, we appreciate it. At this time, we want to hear from those family members and friends. We're going to give you 1 minute as an open mic to just from your heart. Again, we ask you to be respectful of our time, because we want to hear from as many of you as possible. Because we have a permit to be here, we have to be off. We have to cut it off at 1 o'clock. So we ask at 2 o'clock, okay, thank you. So we ask that you come, make a line behind me, make a line, and again, for as many as we can hear from, that's what we're going to do. But we ask you to come and meet us at our post rally, and for those of you that still have statements, we're going to record those, and we're going to put them out on Facebook, and we're going to put them on our page so they can still be heard, because we have to be the one keeping this going, okay? So thank you again. So please give generously for whatever you can do. And also sign our email list, and we will send you information for everything that we are doing to keep you updated. All right.
Thank you. My son is incarcerated at Pocahontas Correctional Center. He had a first-time offense and took a plea of 2 to 5 years. The judge sentenced him to 15 years served and 5 years probation, 4 times the recommended sentence. At Pocahontas, the environment is terrible, and rehabilitation is clearly not a priority. Healthcare is marginal, and mental health care is seriously lacking. The food is sometimes not fit for human consumption, and inmates are often locked down for many hours a day, sometimes days at a time. Being a CEO isn't an easy job, but many of the guards seem to forget that these men and women are fathers, sons, and brothers, mothers, daughters, and sisters, just like you and me. They are human beings who are paying their debt to society and deserve to be treated with respect. Encouragement and a kind word can go a long way, as opposed to the vile remarks and spiteful actions. I am a 72-year-old mother who hopes to see her son a free man before she dies. The system is horribly broken, and an overhaul needs to be a priority. Judges should be held accountable for destroying lives with exceedingly long sentences, and prison personnel need to be held accountable for instilling fear of retribution in those who have been stripped of all human dignity. Thank you.
If Richard Walker is out here, I need you to come with your time card. And we also, if there's any ex-prisoners out here, we want you to also come and speak if you want to speak. All right, come on.
How y'all doing? I want to read this letter from my uncle, J. Brown. My name is J. Brown, and I just turned 60 years old. I've been incarcerated for 38 years for crimes I did not commit. My conviction was largely due to inadequate defense, politically motivated prosecution, and mistaken identification. I've been incarcerated since August 8, 1983, and sentenced to 230 years. I was arrested and charged with abduction, robbery, and sodomy of 3 women. In each case, the victims described that they were not actually raped. And I want to jump to the most important paragraphs here. As for my defense, I was appointed 2 court-appointed attorneys, both September 20, 1984, filed a motion to withdraw counsel and motion appointed to substitute counsel. They both were quite inadequate in defending me, and they did not have my best interest in mind. Also, in the alibi, witness placing me elsewhere when those crimes were committed, my attorney did not aggressively pursue those leads. A letter dated July 1st, 2008 stated that there was no forensic evidence or DNA connecting me to any of these crimes, according to testified by the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Forensic Science. So we had transcripts to prove all of this stuff. We just don't have the funds to get them adequate defense. So thank y'all for listening.
No, we're not going to speak.
Yeah, we're just a family here on behalf of our brother. We are the Harris family, and we're here on behalf of my brother Cornelius Harris. He is currently serving a 30-year prison sentence for being an accessory to a crime. He's been in prison for 19 years. He's missed his son's entire life. We are beginning the stages of trying to get a pardon. Because there's no parole in Virginia, we definitely want to bring parole back. But right now we're working to try to get my brother home so that he can see his son at least graduate from college. He has a website. It's justiceforcornelius.com. justiceforcornelius.com. We are seeking assistance with writing the pardon request. Anybody that's interested in helping us or wants more information, you can go to the website. We'll get your emails, your messages. What else? The story is on the website. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. We want to bring our brother home, and we ask your assistance to do so. justiceforcornelius.com.
Hi, my name is Michelle Griffin. I'm here representing my husband, William Griffin, who's housed at Wallens Ridge State Prison. He was incarcerated back in 1995. He served 27 years for an attempted capital murder case. Let me explain that case real briefly. He basically told the corrections officer that he wanted to go home. He tried to attempt to escape. The officer sustained a scratch and they gave him life plus 60 years. I'm here to stand for him and many others that deserve justice. We deserve parole. But we also need sentencing reform because parole is not going to help everybody if the sentencing is not correct. So let's stand for parole, but let's stand for a change in the laws. Otherwise, a lot of people are not going to come home. Thank you.
Peace. My name is William Richard Sr. I came back, or I was released November 14, 2019 after serving a 10-year sentence. I'm gonna be brief. The level of oppression that your family members, the ones that you love, your friends, whoever, that are behind them walls is unspeakable. I went in there very jubilant, very carefree, very lackadaisical. I had charisma, I had charm. I came in, I came out very disciplined, very humble, but also very militant. I lost that thing in my eyes that made other people smile by just seeing my presence. The ones that love me, that just love to just be around me, now it's like, dang man, what happened to you? That's what I lost from going in there, but I gained passion to come out here. Now we have to get other people to come out here, because this ain't enough. We need far more if you want to free, there's thousands of them in there. So we need thousands out here. With that, I'm up.
Good afternoon, peace and blessings to all. My name is Raheem. I came home March 6, 2017 after doing 22 years, 10 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days. A lot of the letters that was written up here tonight, I know those individuals. I've done time with those individuals. To keep it brief and to the point, personally, all I do is prepare my brothers that's about to come home or those that's not coming home anytime soon with the mentality that's going to be needed out here. I'm almost 3 years in, and I'm still dealing with combating the so-called societal stereotypes. You can't do this, you can't. I'm running circles around these dudes in society. I came home in a wheelchair. And like I said, I'm letting my brothers know, just don't settle on what they're giving you to come home. It's more to that out here. You're not going to need that. There's so many obstacles out here that you're going to run into. Everybody don't have the same facet of discipline that I have. So a lot of individuals going to go right back to the street. I chose not to. And for that example, like I said, I make it clear to my brothers that, yo, I need you to be squeaky clean. So when that door open up, when they open it up, because it's only going to open it for a short period of time. The only reason they haven't approved it because they're looking for something to combat it. That's the only reason they ain't brought them rules back. So know and understand, for that time I need them, I stress to my brothers, yo, stay squeaky clean. But know and understand that there's more to this than this right here. And we appreciate this. This is appreciated. And thank you.
Thank you. Down to about 3 minutes, y'all, so go ahead.
Hi, my son is 35 years old. He's been in prison since 2 weeks after his 18th birthday. He didn't kill anybody. He did shoot at someone. He admits that he did everything that he is accused of. His sentence was supposed to be 11 years. On the day of the sentencing, they said, well, it could be 11 to 16, depending on the severity. The judge gave him 32 years in prison at age 18. He has done well in prison despite a lot of things. One is he has a lot of support, family support, friend support. That matters so much. A lot of people don't have that. But he would be much better being outside, having parole, because he could then give back to society. Clemency is a long shot. He has no recourse. Thank you.
We want to thank everybody. We want you all to meet us at 1400 Second Baptist Church, where we will continue. In fact, we will be recording your statements and anything that you want to say and you want to share. Again, please support us financially. Please meet us at our post rally. Please sign the email and take a newsletter. I'm going to close this with Queen. I want you to come, one of our elders, our ancestors, that I'm telling you. Oh, and I also want to acknowledge Joe Morrissey. Senator Joe Morrissey is here. Again, we was not given any slots to any delegates or senators because this is for us. This is for our brothers and our sisters, but we appreciate their support, and we definitely need them to pass these bills that benefit our family. So again, come on in.
All right. I'm going to say greetings. I am Queen Nzinga, a name given to me by the brothers on a federal plantation in Atlanta, Georgia, over 20 years ago. And the only thing I want to say is what I tell the brothers and sisters all the time. No matter where you are in the physical, your mind is still free. You can think. Your mind is still free. And for those of us who are here, when you get back to your homes or your cities or whatever, don't take all of this knowledge and put it up on the top shelf. Knowledge does no good if you keep it to yourself. Tell somebody. Tell somebody. Because next year, we want to see 1,000 times the number of people. It's at least 40,000 people incarcerated in the common death of Virginia. It ought to be at least 40,000 people out here. Because I guarantee you, each one of them knows at least one person. So take this knowledge with you and do not ever give up the fight. Don't. Because I'm not. Don't. And I say power to the people. All these people.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. Okay, meet us 1400 Adwood Avenue, Second Baptist Church for the post rally. Okay, they're telling us that we got to shut down, and I want to thank each one of you. Thank each one of you all for coming. Thank you. Please follow us over at 1400 Adwood Avenue for the post rally. Thank you again for coming.